60 flood warnings right now across England, and most people watching this have no idea their neighbourhood could be underwater by midnight. This is your Saturday evening weather emergency bulletin for the 7th of February 2026. And what is heading your way tonight is not just another rainy weekend. A massive low-pressure system is sitting directly over the United Kingdom, and it is about to unleash one of the most intense rainfall events we have seen in weeks. But here is the question that should worry you. Do you know exactly when the worst of it hits your city? Because the timing changes dramatically depending on where you live. Stay with me. By minute 5 of this bulletin, I will give you the precise hour-by-hour breakdown for every major city across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And at minute 8, I am going to reveal which 3 cities face the highest flood risk tonight, and one of them will genuinely surprise you. Let me give you the big picture first, because the numbers are staggering. The Met Office has issued yellow weather warnings covering almost the entire United Kingdom. We are not talking about one region or two, we are talking about virtually every county, every city, from Land's End to John O'Groats. The synoptic chart shows cyclonic conditions firmly in control. Atlantic frontal systems are sweeping in from the west, but here is the twist. A stubborn area of high pressure sitting to the northeast is acting like a wall, slowing these rain bands down. What does that mean for you? It means instead of the rain passing through quickly, it is going to sit over your area for hours. Hours of continuous heavy rain on ground that is already completely waterlogged from the past week. Rainfall totals could hit 15 to 30 millimetres across most areas, and in parts of Western Wales, we are looking at more than 40 millimetres. To put that in perspective, 40 millimetres in one night is roughly what London normally receives in an entire fortnight. Now, before I break down every city, drop a comment right now telling me where you are watching from. Your town, your city, your county. I read every single comment and I will personally reply with specific guidance for your local area. The more specific you are, the better I can help you prepare. Right, let us start where the storm begins, the southwest. Plymouth, you are in the firing line first. Temperatures today hit around 11 degrees Celsius, but tonight is not about the cold. It is about the sheer volume of water falling from the sky. Plymouth sits squarely inside the Met Office yellow warning zone, and bands of heavy rain are already sweeping in off the Atlantic as I speak. Gusts along the coast are reaching 20 to 25 miles per hour. Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset, all of these counties are bearing the absolute brunt of this system. The ground across the southwest has been saturated for days. There is simply nowhere for the water to go. The Environment Agency has issued more than 60 flood warnings, and the majority are concentrated right here in the southwest and across southern England. If you live anywhere near a river, a stream, or even low-lying ground in this part of the country, tonight is the night to be alert. Check whether your property falls within a flood risk zone. I will give you the exact website to check at the end of this bulletin. Now, here is something most people do not realize. The storm is not hitting everywhere at the same time. It is rolling across the country like a wave, and the timing matters enormously. Brighton and Portsmouth on the south coast are sitting at 9 to 10 degrees tonight, warmer than the north thanks to the English Channel. But do not let the milder temperature fool you. Hampshire has already experienced significant flooding this week, with roads and open land left completely underwater. The sea breeze combined with persistent drizzle makes the seafront absolutely miserable tonight. Portsmouth is under a yellow warning for heavy rain right now. Southampton, the great port city, 11 degrees by day, dropping to 6 overnight. Persistent rain all through the night. And here is the detail that catches people off guard. The rain is not the dramatic thundering downpour type. It is the quiet, relentless kind that just does not stop. Hour after hour after hour. That is actually more dangerous for flooding because it gives people a false sense of security. They think, oh, it is just drizzle, but the rivers keep rising. Sliding up the Thames Valley now. Oxford and Reading, you are next. Reading has an 80% chance of rain tonight, with accumulations around 5.7 millimetres and winds between 16 and 30 miles per hour. That is noticeably stronger than most other locations tonight. Oxford is similar, 9 degrees by day, 6 at night. Both cities sit within the Thames Basin, and with tributaries already swollen, riverside areas need to stay especially alert for surface water flooding tonight. Now, London. The capital, 11 degrees during the day, dropping to around 7 tonight. Not desperately cold by midwinter standards, but the combination of dampness and wind will make it feel considerably rawer than the thermometer suggests. The Met Office describes conditions across London and the southeast as murky with outbreaks of rain, and that sums it up perfectly. Drizzle and light rain will persist stubbornly through the evening, with occasional heavier bursts. Here is the critical timing for London. Winds will gradually ease through the night, but visibility drops sharply after 9 o'clock. Patches of fog will form in the lower-lying areas along the Thames Basin. If you are driving in London tonight, 9 o'clock onwards is when conditions deteriorate most. A yellow rain warning remains in force, and localised surface water flooding is possible. Check those tube services on overground sections and suburban bus routes before you head out. Winds are running between 10 and 21 miles per hour. Not dangerous, but enough to make standing around outdoors feel genuinely unpleasant. Remember I promised you the full city breakdown by minute 5? Here it comes. Cardiff, the Welsh capital, 10 degrees by day, dropping to between 5 and 7 tonight. Wales as a whole is under a yellow rain warning, and South Wales has already been hammered by heavy downpours all week. Rain bands from the south-westerly frontal system will continue sweeping across Cardiff well into the small hours. Accumulations across the hillier terrain in Western Wales could exceed 40 millimetres tonight. That is an enormous amount of rain. Roads in Cardiff and the valley communities could see localised flooding, and spray from passing vehicles will reduce visibility dramatically. If you are driving through South Wales tonight, reduce your speed and switch on fog lamps. Bristol, just across the channel from Cardiff, 9 degrees by day, 5 overnight. Persistent rain, light to moderate winds, very much the same story. Now we push into the heart of England. Birmingham, the country's second city, 8 degrees during the day, dropping to just 3 or 4 tonight. Both the West Midlands and East Midlands are under yellow warnings. Birmingham is in for a cloudy night with outbreaks of rain. Not the ceaseless downpours of the southwest, but quite enough to keep the streets wet and dangerously slippery. There are flood alerts in place for the Birmingham area. Low-lying spots near rivers and canals need to remain vigilant. The ground is already waterlogged and drainage systems are under considerable strain. Even modest additional rain could trigger flooding. Coventry, Leicester, Nottingham, all sitting between 4 and 8 degrees with heavy cloud and intermittent rain. Do not skip ahead, because what is happening further north tonight is where the real twist in this weather story begins. Sheffield. 5 degrees right now, dropping to 2 or 3 tonight. Yorkshire and the Humber are under a yellow warning. But here is what makes Sheffield different. This city sits on the edge of the Peak District, right where the cold northern air meets the milder southern air. That collision zone means Sheffield could see sleet tonight. A mixture of rain and wet snow, particularly on the western hills above about 300 metres. Roads through the Peak District passes could become treacherous after dark. If you are travelling through the Pennines tonight, this is your warning. Leeds, Yorkshire's largest city, only reached 6 degrees today. Overnight low around 4 with patchy rain and moderate winds. Manchester, 10 degrees today, 4 tonight. Here is some genuinely unexpected news. Manchester may actually be one of the more fortunate cities tonight. The chance of rain is lower than most other parts of the country. There could even be brief clear spells during the late evening before cloud thickens again. Winds between 9 and 22 miles per hour. Salford, Bolton, Oldham, similar outlook. Predominantly cloudy, occasional drizzle, but staying above freezing. Liverpool, Manchester's western neighbour, 6 to 8 degrees, dropping to 5 after dark. 60% chance of rain with winds between 12 and 25 miles per hour, stronger than Manchester because of that coastal exposure to the Irish Sea. A damp and breezy night across Merseyside. Blackpool, 7 degrees by day, 4 overnight. If you are fancying a Saturday evening walk along the famous pier, brace yourself. Sea winds off the Irish Sea will be keen, with lively gusts and plenty of salty sea spray. Now we cross the border into Scotland, and this is where the weather story becomes genuinely dramatic. Edinburgh, 7 degrees today, 5 tonight. Significantly colder than London, and the wind chill makes it feel worse. Edinburgh sits in the zone where cold Scandinavian air pushes in from the northeast, creating a sharp temperature contrast. Intermittent rain tonight, with a northeasterly breeze drawing moisture off the North Sea, making showers heavier along the eastern coast. And a practical warning. The cobbled slopes of the old town will be treacherously slippery. Wear sensible footwear with good grip if you are heading out. Glasgow, 5 degrees during the day, and here is the number that should make you sit up. Temperatures could fall to 0 tonight. Freezing point. The Met Office warns that as rain bands push northwards, snow is possible on higher ground around Glasgow, above 300 metres. There is one small piece of better news. Northwestern Scotland may see occasional clearer spells compared with the rest of the country. But with temperatures touching freezing by midnight, bridges, overpasses and metal surfaces could ice up. Driving in and around Glasgow after dark requires serious caution tonight. Aberdeen, just 4 degrees today, falling to 1 or 2 tonight, one of the coldest cities in the entire country right now. Aberdeen takes the full force of an easterly breeze laden with moisture from the North Sea, and the Met Office has identified the northeast of Scotland as bearing some of the heaviest rainfall in this entire weather event. Rain at lower levels, snow on the heights across the Grampian Mountains, persisting through the night. Visibility will be poor owing to rain and sea fog. If you are driving the A90 or A96 through Aberdeenshire tonight, check conditions thoroughly before setting out. On the higher tops like the Cairngorms, several more centimetres of snow could accumulate. Dundee, 7 degrees by day, 4 overnight, 80% chance of rain. Winds between 11 and 21 miles per hour. Central Scotland, Tayside and Fife will be damp, cold and breezy throughout. Inverness, 3 degrees during the day, touching freezing tonight, and on exposed higher ground, temperatures could plunge to -1 or even -3. Mountain passes, including the A9 over Drummochta and the A82 through Glencoe, could be affected by snow and ice. However, and this is the fascinating twist, the Northwestern Highlands may actually prove to be the driest part of the entire United Kingdom tonight. Even the odd clear spell is possible up there, but make no mistake, the cold is absolutely real. Now, here are those 3 cities I promised you with the highest flood risk tonight. Number 3, Cardiff. The combination of saturated ground, heavy rain, and valley geography makes flooding a near certainty in some areas. Number 2, Plymouth and the wider southwest, bearing the absolute brunt of the Atlantic moisture. And number 1, the one that might surprise you, the Thames Valley corridor from Reading through to London. The reason is that more than 60 flood warnings are concentrated across southern and southeastern England. Rivers are already running high. Groundwater levels in Dorset, Wiltshire, and Hampshire have hit alert thresholds. The Avon Valley, the Piddle, the Stour, and numerous smaller rivers across the Wessex region are experiencing groundwater flooding right now tonight. Newcastle, 5 degrees by day, 2 to 3 tonight. The northeast is under a yellow warning. Newcastle sits right on the boundary between milder southern air and colder Scottish air, creating particular instability. Rain may turn to sleet on higher ground around Northumberland by midnight. A northeasterly wind off the North Sea adds a raw, biting edge. Sunderland, Middlesbrough, and the coastal towns are all in the same position. Damp, cold, and exposed, Northern Ireland. Belfast, 5 degrees according to the Met Office, possibly reaching 9 before dropping to 3 overnight. Under a yellow warning, a band of rain will track across Northern Ireland tonight, bringing moderate to heavy falls. The Mourne Mountains and the Sperrin Mountains may see snow on their summits. Londonderry, Newry, Enniskillen, all seeing spells of rain with cool temperatures. Rural roads crossing hilly terrain could become slippery and hazardous after dark. Here is your essential action checklist for tonight. Visit checkforflooding.service.gov.uk to see if your area is in a warning zone. Charge your phone fully, have a torch ready. If you have elderly relatives or neighbours living alone, give them a ring tonight. Make sure they have adequate heating, food and medication. If you are driving anywhere tonight, check road conditions before you leave. Reduce speed in rain, increase following distances, and switch on your lights even if you think visibility is acceptable. Now, will Sunday be any better? I'm afraid the honest answer is no. The Met Office extended outlook shows unsettled weather continuing well into next week. Low pressure systems remain dominant. Further rain-bearing fronts will approach from the Atlantic. Western and southern areas stay most at risk of heavy rain and flooding. The northeast may also prove wetter than normal. Snow remains possible when colder air masses filter south. Strong winds may feature. Temperatures will sit close to seasonal averages, with the northeast tending colder and the southwest occasionally milder. And this is exactly why you need to watch the next bulletin. I will have the full Sunday and Monday forecast with updated flood warnings, and I have been tracking a potentially significant weather system developing in the Atlantic that could arrive by midweek. The models are not fully in agreement yet, but early signals suggest it could bring the strongest winds we have seen this winter. You will want to know about that before anyone else does. Drop your location in the comments right now. Tell me your city, your town, your area. I will reply with personalized guidance for your exact location. Share this bulletin with anyone you know who needs to prepare tonight. And make sure you are following this channel so you do not miss tomorrow's update. Stay warm, stay safe, and